day I decided to skip school with a few friends and go to my friend's house. And as we got to my friend's house, we're like, oh, what are we gonna do? And he's like, oh, we gotta wait for my mom to leave so we can go into the house and like just hang out. So we were waiting, but it was like one of those hot days, and we're like, oh man, we're not waiting anymore. So my friend just ended up going inside the house, and he opened the garage for us, and we went in, and his mom's like, oh, you guys can go to school? And we're like, nah, they're just giving AFCAT today. We don't have to do it. And when after she left, we decided to start playing video games. We were playing the Nintendo Wii, and in the Nintendo Wii, they have like this boxing game. And I was like playing this boxing game, and as I was playing, I ended up disconnecting the controllers. And as soon as I went to reattach the controllers together, I got this shock. And I didn't know what it was. And then I got shocked again, and I'm like, oh, what's happening? But I didn't come to notice that it was my machine until like the fifth shock. And I ended up going to the hospital, and on the way to the hospital, I got shocked like 25 times, and they said, oh, you broke the machine, we're gonna have to do surgery again for you to get a new one. So within like 2 days, I had surgery, and then I got a new machine, and they told me try not to do heavy lifting because that's what caused your machine to break. I found out when I was 8 years old that I had heart problems. I woke up one morning walking down my stairs, and I ended up passing out. My mom and dad heard the boom, 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 boom. They saw me on the stairs, picked me up, and took me into their bedroom. They held me up, and then later on the same day, I was in the kitchen. I ended up passing out again. And then that's when they took me to the hospital to see what was going on. And that's when I found out I had myocarditis. The doctor's like, oh, you guys can leave. If anything shows up, we'll give you a call. I ended up getting a call the next day. He's like, oh, I need you to come back. We saw something that we were kind of worried about. So I went. They gave me a heart monitor for 24 hours. And then I took it back to them. They monitored it. And then he called me again the next day after that, and they said, oh, we need to see you again. We need to talk about surgery. That's when the whole heart problem thing started evolving. I need to get a defibrillator.
These pumps are destination therapies, means that they're not just bridging to transplant, but that's it. There's an auxiliary pump. It unloads the work of the heart by 20%, 30%, which is enough to keep the person functioning normally and healthy.
I saw you moving some heavy boxes. I don't want you to.
They weren't heavy.
Anything over 50 dozen, don't move it. Even that is too heavy.
All right, I'll let somebody else do it.
Yeah, because you strain yourself, even you could do it, but you're going to get tired before the end of the day. And then you fall asleep because you're tired. If you don't do heavy labor and just do nice light things like organize, do paperwork, filing, you'll be all right. You're not going to get tired by 6.
You're right.
Okay?
Ending of April, when I got really bad, they said, your heart's like giving out, you're going into heart failure, and of this year. And they told me I have to get on the list, but I wasn't on the list until like beginning of May, because I didn't have insurance, and if you don't have insurance, they don't put you on the list at all. So I had to like fight for it, and I ended up getting health care. And since then I've been waiting. I'm still waiting.
Patients are listed by medical urgency, and there's very strict criteria that is that all centers have to follow. And then they're listed by their blood type and by size.
The condition's called Trachology of Fallot with pulmonary atresia. There's a hole in the side of my heart, and it doesn't allow as much oxygen and as much blood to go there, so they had to go in and basically fix it. I'd have to say about a week old, and I had to be rushed to the hospital. I was in the hospital for 2 years when I was first born, and then I've had 3 surgeries on my heart, so that's another 6 months for each surgery, and then I get checkups about every 3 months, so a lot.
The heart is primarily a pump that takes the oxygenated blood coming back from the lungs and distributes it all over the body. So its primary function is as a pump. And you can't certainly live without it, but that's true for any of the organs. I mean, it's very important. It's as important as the brain. Again, you know, the body is a very coordinated organism, and it's amazing how intertwined everything is.
He was born with tetralogy of Fallot, with pulmonary atresia, which is a complicated cardiac condition that at the time that he was born, nothing was being done. A few years prior, he was just in the beginning stages of actually getting the help that he needed. And he was born on time, everything went perfect, but his oxygen level was really low. And from there, everything just started to crumble really quick. And they transported him to Jackson, which was difficult because I had my baby here in my belly, and all of a sudden he wasn't in my hands, and there was this huge void. I thought my life was just falling apart in front of me.
I was diagnosed with the condition when I was 4 years old. Your heart doesn't stop growing, like only I think it's the left side that just keeps growing and growing and growing over time, and you take medicine so it stops growing, and basically it did for a couple years, and then it just started again.
Cardiomyopathy is a heart muscle sickness. It's a sick heart muscle. And there are a myriad of causes. It can be congenital or acquired. Those are the 2 big categories. Either you're born with it because of messed up genetics, and there's a familial form, whereby it's a continuum. That's why you hear of young athletes, for example, having cardiac arrests on basketball courts and so on. That's familial cardiomyopathy, and it's of varying degrees of severity.
So when I got my heart, like it beats slower, or I think it's faster. I don't remember. I would like feel like the heartbeat in like my head. It was like boom. It was like super big.
Santiago was diagnosed with dilated cardiomyopathy, and he had a familial form of that disease, which means that other people in his family also had the same diagnosis. And in fact, he probably has told you how his mother died shortly after he was born of the very same diagnosis. The nature of waiting for a heart transplant means that you're obviously sick enough to be put on a national list where you're to some degree competing with all the other people who are waiting for heart transplants for the appropriate size donor and blood type donor to become available for you so that you can get your heart. And that's not the kind of thing that we can schedule, obviously. It's not an elective, what we call an elective process. You can't come into the hospital on a Monday and say, oh, I'm going to have my heart transplant on a Thursday. Some people wait less than a day. Some people wait a very short period of time. Other people can wait weeks to months for their hearts. And it really just depends upon luck.